Giridvaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shira Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shira Prabhupada Shira Prabhupada ki Shri Prabhupada Lakshmi Simade Bhagavan ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So we're reading today from the third chapter, 38th verse. That's on the board. Dumena vriyate vanir. Dumena vriyate vanir. Yatadarsho malena cha. Yatadarsho malena cha. Yatolbena vrito garbas. Yatolbena vrito garbas. Tatathenedam avritam. Tatathenedam avritam. Tumena vriyate vanir. Yatadarsho malena cha. Yatolbena vrito garbas. Tatathenedam avritam. Tumena vriyate vanir. Yatadarsho malena cha. Yatolbena vrito garbas. Tatathenedam avritam. Tumena vriyate vanir. Okay, word for word translation. Dhumena, by smoke. Avriyate is covered. Vanihi, fire. Yatha, just as. Adarshaha, mirror. Malena, by dust. Cha, also. Yatha, just as. Ulbena, by the womb. Avritaha, is covered. Garbhaha, embryo. Tata, so. Tena, by that lust. Idam, this. Avritam, is covered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of lust. Purport. There are 3 degrees of covering of the living entity, by which his pure consciousness is obscured. This covering is but lust under different manifestations, like smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, and the womb about the embryo. When lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that the fire of the living spark can be a little perceived. In other words, when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness slightly, he may be likened to the fire covered by smoke. Although fire is necessary where there is smoke, there is no overt manifestation of fire in the early stage. Overt here means evident. There's no evident manifestation of fire in the early stage. This stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The dust on the mirror refers to a cleansing process of the mirror of the mind by so many spiritual methods. The best process is to chant the holy names of the Lord. The embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating a helpless position, for the child in the womb is so helpless that he cannot even move. The stage of living condition can be compared to that of the trees. The trees are also living entities, but they have been put in such a condition of life by such a great exhibition of lust that they are almost void of all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the bird and beasts, and the smoke-covered fire is compared to the human being. In the form of a human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and, if he makes further development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke and the fire can be made to blaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy, lust, by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Visakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyam Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. It's a beautiful, beautiful verse and beautiful section also, the Bhagavad Gita. We have just heard the fourth question by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Oh yeah, first thing, since we're not so many, if you can have like a Bhagavad Gita also with you, there are still 2 Bhagavad Gitas there. I know that Purusha Simaji has the phone. Du hast die Handy. Okay. This is, yeah, that makes it easier. Thank you. And yes, so this is the fourth question of Arjuna out of 17 in the whole Bhagavad Gita. As we know, there are 18 questions in the whole Bhagavad Gita. Who is given the 18th? Who is given the 18th question? Krishna. Not. No, not. Arjuna asks 17 questions, yeah. But one question is yeah? Dhritarashtra. Yeah, Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra. And then he says, Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. What did they do? Yeah. And the very first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, this section it's quite amazing. We've heard of this very famous question of Arjuna in 336. By what is one impelled to sinful acts even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? And we have already heard from Ramananda Gopal Prabhu that what is the answer of Krishna, and he tells Arjuna that it's lust only, and which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, into anger. And here Krishna keeps on, and he makes this very nice examples, like 3 different examples, to compare the lust in 3 different ways and 3 different degrees of this lust. And these analogies, we can go quickly into it. So today I want to talk about the analogies, just cover them swiftly, and then try to see a little bit the definition of lust, even though already was spoken in the previous lectures. But I want to go more focus on the mechanism of lust. So how does lust really work? And also some solutions, how we can then try to fight this great enemy of lust, which Krishna is not really refraining from saying how dangerous it is. So we have 3 analogies here, which are the 3 analogies. You remember one of the 3? Yeah.
Fire and smoke.
Mm-hmm. Fire and smoke, yeah. And then? Mirror dust.
And embryo
by the womb, right. So these are the 3 degrees of covering of the lust of our consciousness, and Krishna is really, of course, not by chance that puts them in these different degrees. And Srila Prabhupada beautifully comments also in the purport. When we have the fire, we have fire and we have smoke, depending on how big is the fire, but usually we can still, and also how thick is the smoke, but usually we can see still the form of the fire, even though it's a bit covered by the smoke. And the function of the fire also stays like that, because the heating, and it also emanates some light, even though it's a bit covered by the smoke, but one can still see both the form and the function, and it pertains the function of the fire. But when we have the dust in the mirror, then we can definitely see the form of the mirror, but the function of the mirror is completely is not there anymore, because the dust covers the mirror, and one cannot really use it for the purpose of mirroring. Yeah. And then we have this third one, the womb and the child, so the womb and the embryo, and one cannot, from the outside, one cannot really see the child, and it's totally impenetrable, the womb, and also the child is trapped within, as Srila Prabhupada mentions. So also is totally helpless inside. So both the form and the function also are not there. Here Srila Prabhupada uses different comparison with living entities to compare this example with living entities. Do you remember some of living entities that was? Yeah.
The human being is like fire from smoke, it can kindle the Krishna consciousness.
Yes. Nice. Yeah. Human form of life is compared to the fire and the smoke example. Yeah. And who remember dust and mirror? Who? Yeah.
Animals like birds.
Very nice. Animals like birds and beasts. Yeah. And the womb and child. Yeah. The trees, right? Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada says here that the trees have basically almost one can feel that they're void of consciousness. So much they're covered by the knowledge. They're so much covered that they even seem almost without consciousness. Yeah, and so this womb is so tough to penetrate, and the child is so helpless that this consciousness, Hare Krishna, is totally covered by this lust. And instead, in the mirror and dust examples, then is likened to animals, which the consciousness is a bit more perceived there. And then if Srila Prabhupada focuses a little bit more about the fire and smoke example, in which he likened to the humans, the human form of life, and also like when we see a little bit of fire that is kindled there, and then coming out of the smoke, this is like a sign of some truth that is coming there. So some ability to see some truth, and which he compares to Krishna consciousness. And so he makes a very important point how when we have a form of life in which the covering is not so thick, so is enough uncovered, then there is finally the chance for the living entity to escape this entanglement of material existence and to really try to go to evolve his own consciousness. Yeah, and therefore he says how important it is to not also lose this occasion and focusing on develop one's own Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So this are more or less the three analogies. I wanted to ask, what is lust? If somebody can, after those two beautiful lectures from Subal and Ramananda Gopal Prabhu on the topic, if one has an idea, or like how would you define lust? Yeah.
The desire to enjoy without God.
Desire to enjoy without God. Very nice. Yeah.
Selfish desires.
Selfish desires. Yes.
It is one of the coverings of the living entity, and is created by meditating on sense objects.
Very nice. Yeah. It's one of the coverings of the human form of life, and it's and the second one you said, and
it's created by meditation on sense objects.
By contemplating the sense objects. Yes. Yes. All three very nice definitions. Who can give also an example of lust? Yeah.
I want to eat all prasad.
Yeah. Yes, for example, yeah. I want to have food cravings. I see that halava. I know it's from Nandimukhi Mataji, so it must be a very good halava. And I know that I shouldn't be eating much, but then I go there, I see it. I see also some devotees taking it. And at the beginning, maybe I managed to not ask for it, and then after a few eating maybe some khichdi, then I go some chutney, and then I go with some little sweet, like sweet rice, But then, of course, the halava is missing, and then so I wake up, I stand up again, and then I ask Shamarasa Mataji to give me some halava, and that, yeah, this is the food cravings of lust. This is like, of course, when we think of lust, it's always a lot of times related to gross kind of things, like sense objects that we can touch. Does somebody have an example of some more subtle kind of lust? Yeah?
Smoking cigarettes.
Smoking cigarette, yeah. That's a bit more subtler, yeah?
Bit more subtle.
No.
Striving for name, fame, adoration.
Striving for fame, name, and adoration, yes. I was just at the beginning of the year, my mother was visiting me, and we were going to Nuremberg, and it was very cold, didn't know what to do, so okay, let's go to cinema. And then we decided to go to see this movie it's an autobiography from Robbie Williams. I don't know if you ever heard of this, he's a very famous pop singer, especially in the early 2000s, he was a huge pop star. And yeah, he just made this movie. And we thought, okay, let's go. And this, there is immediately from the beginning how, since he was a child, he was feeling quite clumsy, quite goofy. And this he developed immediately by comparing himself to the other child. And so there was some low self-esteem that got him into this kind of thinking. And he was trying to cover up this insecurity by doing jokes. And also he was showing like sometimes he would fall, and then instead of like just standing up again, he would just make like a dance move or something really a little bit crazy, and then the other child would laugh, and he would feel very good about it, like, oh wow, they laughed, and I make them feel good, and also I'm in the center of attention. And also with the example of his father was playing in a bar, and he was mostly for telling also jokes for the drunken ones that were there, and he was getting those little money, and that's how he was getting by. So he was seeing his father as with this example, and this thing, and he developed immediately like, oh, I really want to get famous. That's where you get the happiness from life. And then you could see the whole how all his young age he was only meditating mostly on that, and that was really became his obsession to be in the center of attention. And he would do it by different ways and try all the possibility to become famous. And then he was, of course, very successful at the end. But throughout all his life, he was suffering very much from all those thoughts of low self-esteem and depression that it developed lately. And he was having a huge concert in front of a huge crowd, like thousands and thousands of people. And while singing, you could see that he was seeing some people in the audience who were telling him, you cannot make it. You're still the same goofy one. You're just not worthy to be there. And all these kind of thoughts that he would still have very strong in his mind, he would see them while playing in the concert. And of course he tried to stop these kind of thoughts with the drugs and all kinds of drugs, heavy drugs, and drinking a lot. And of course that made it only just worse, until he had a big breakdown, depression, and then he went to rehab and so on and so forth. And so yes, there's more subtle ways of lust. These are even more dangerous than gross ones, and they are also more difficult to get rid of, and they have the same kind of symptom of also the gross lust. It's never really satisfied. Yeah. So I want to go into the mechanism of how lust works. So I will draw maybe a little bit. So the mechanism of lust is explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad-gītā, specifically more in the second chapter. He's explaining in 2.62. And Daruka Prabhu, would you like to read it? 262.
German version.
Okay, in German. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody speaks German. Why is
Yeah.
it?
Bravo. Bitte?
So, Vers und Übersetzung und Erläuterung.
Übersetzen.
62.
262. Ja?
Beim Betrachten der Sinnesobjekte entwickelt der Mensch Anhaftung an sie. Aus solcher Anhaftung entwickelt sich Lust und aus Lust geht Zorn hervor.
Yes. So what we have first,
Attachment.
before there's something,
Contemplating on sense object.
contemplating a sense object, yes. So and then what we have then? Attachment, yeah. And then from attachment, lust, yes. So for example, like we have the halava, yeah. So we get to the prasadam room, we see the halava, and like, okay, you're thinking, okay, this is something, and then you keep on, maybe like you see other objects, other prasadam, but if when during your contemplation of the halava, if you well, what is attachment? Who can come up with a definition of attachment, or what does it mean? Yeah.
Using things for one's own sense gratification.
Using things for one's own sense gratification. Yes. Srila, yeah.
Attachment is a kind of relationship. It's not. It's there in the mind. It's a picture which stays. Attachment is something which doesn't go away by itself.
Yeah. This also could be. It's it's a feature of attachment. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada defines attachment as thinking that one would derive sense gratification out of the object. So basically, you think that this object will give you some happiness. This is attachment. Yeah. And so we contemplate on the halava, and then by the contemplation, by thinking of this object, then we think, okay, if I get this halava, I may get some happiness from it. This is attachment. I am attached to it. And then after that, the desire comes. So you have the desire of have the halava. Yeah. And then when you have this desire, you have basically two outcomes. Yeah. When you have any kind of desires, what are the two possible outcomes? Yeah. It gets fulfilled or not. Yes. So when it gets fulfilled, what happens? No, when it doesn't get fulfilled, what happens? Anger. Yes, right. So let's say it's I'm craving for pizza, but I cannot really have it because I don't have enough money to buy it. Yeah. Or I know that the Nandimukhi Mataji is doing the halava, but when I come down, halava is already finished. So I'm frustrated by it. Or I may develop some anger, yeah, or frustration, or some a bit contrary. And instead, if I fulfill it, what does it happen? Yeah, greed happens. Yes, we will go into it. So I would like to show what we have. Like there's what we call the slope of contemplation. So we have slope, yeah. Here we have contemplation. So we start from contemplation, yeah. And here at the end we have indulgence, yeah. No, it's okay. Thank you. Indulgence. So can be also self-destruction, also, yeah. So we start from contemplation, yeah, and inside of here, let's see, maybe better like this. And here we could call it like mental flow, yeah, mental flow, until before we do the actual activity, yeah. And let's say I'm with my friends. Yeah, actually Ananda Krishna Prabhu was mentioning in one of those lectures, his lectures lately, that out of boredom he was just with friends, and they decided to go to supermarket and steal something, and one may get there out of peer pressure, yeah, or out of boredom also. So first they would contemplate it, yeah, and then there is some thinking, a process into it, and then finally the decision to go for it, yeah. Okay, let's say we go for it. Then okay, then we succeed. Let's say we manage to steal something, this object, and then we go out. We have fun with the other people. We say, okay, yeah, we laugh about it. We were so cool. We managed, and so on. Yeah. Then let's say next week. Then it happens again. Okay, what we do, what we don't do. We go to the park. Okay, it's always the same thing. It was nice. Last week it was cool. We had some fun. We managed to steal. Okay, why don't we go again there? Maybe there's some other object we can get our hands on. And then we start again here with the contemplation. Yeah, but now this time the slope of the segment is like this. Can you turn a little bit lower? Yeah. But this time it's like this. Why? Because we had already an experience of indulging into stealing, and this time, actually, the slope is like this. Because and we are thinking, okay, we're contemplating. Okay, shall we do it? Shall we not do it? Yeah, but it was okay. I mean, it went all good the first time, and it was also nice. We had a nice talk. It bonded more with my friends, and this. Okay, let's do it again. Why not? So there's much less, or there may be much less like consideration as it was at the beginning. So when one is here, and it is in this contemplation before the action, you can still go towards the action or go back and thinking, okay, no, that's not a good idea. I know that's not proper. I know one should not really indulge into it. But then after the second time, from the slope is actually more down, and this would go on if one would go on. Then the slope gets more down and more down and more down, until it becomes like this. If you can think on even walking, it's you go here. Okay, it's a bit more harder to go up, but one can do it. But then when there is such a slope, it's very, very difficult, especially if you have a bike. It's very difficult to go back on the place. And this is what happens actually when there is repetition. Here we have repetition, yeah? Repetition. And so here we have indulgence, but one can already say self-destruction, yeah? So it's here. And this stage, who can guess how is it called, this stage? Yeah? Addiction, right. This is called addiction, yes. Addiction, yeah. Yes. So this is how contemplation works. And so also like some people, they may say, okay, like let's I would just do it once. What is the problem with it? Maybe nobody would know it, nobody would see it, it's not a problem. Maybe one would not have like an immediate external reaction from this action. But on a more karma has external and internal features, but internal part of karma is still there, still is going to be there, and this we can see it here. because the samskara, because the impression, whatever action we do, it creates an impression. Yeah, and this impression goes into us and still work within us. And the impression, not only we have these impressions in our subconscious, but also there is an emotion attached to the impression. So that's why, for example, many speaks about relieving oneself from past traumas. Yeah, and past traumas are none other than impressions with a very deep, very strong emotion attached to it. And that's why they speak so much about letting go of this such emotion, to be able to then have a much less stronger impression that works within us and give us this pushing towards some different actions. Yeah. For example, I have the example of I have a lot of friends that started smoking already in middle school. So when they were 12 years old, 13 years old, and lots of them, they're still smoking to this day, and most of them, they don't know anymore why they're still smoking, and why, and then yes, they question sometimes, I would like to stop, but there's not really much of willpower to do that, because it's so difficult. There's a famous sentence from Oscar Wilde. Yeah, he says, stopping smoking is so easy. I've done it hundreds of times, and this is really how it is. Like it's very difficult to then when we are in such a stage to really go back up to and not really go for indulgence. Yeah, and it all started, like, if I ask my friends, a few of them, it all started from being cool at the middle school. Maybe you're the bit rebellious one, and you can a little bit show off with some older kind of friends. This kind of frivolous kind of thinking. Okay, I do it once, maybe twice, and nobody see me, but it's cool. I do it with my friend, and then out of not being so much conscious, then repetition, and then we get into addiction. Yeah, and it's a very easy process. And what makes it also worse is in all the different areas in which we could have addiction, like just by starting from a selfish desire. Technology is what really makes it also difficult in this age. And why does it make it difficult? Yeah?
Because sense gratification is easily available.
Yeah, sense gratification is easily available. And we are bombarded like advertisement, this person who is showing his happiness by having a beer in his hand. And these are all like sense objects that you are, so to say, forced to contemplate upon, with an idea that you may get some happiness out of it. So you may also develop this attachment. So you may also think, okay, I may subconsciously or consciously, I may also get some happiness from it, since he looks like he's happy on. And that's how then, maybe it's not the first time that you see this advertisement, maybe it's the second or even later. And then you develop the desire from it, lust, and you may get also indulge into it. And that's why it's so important also to understanding, to know quite clearly like how this mechanism works, because then we have more also self-defense possibility on such a thing. We are more aware of that. And there is a whole culture also of hedonism, yeah, or like try to glorify, to satisfy your senses as much as possible. And this we see it in all kind of like how sex is glorified, and of course like all kinds of drugs and alcohol, and how it's cool in all these different movies, and these are all different forms of lust. And why also is it done like that? Well, of course, if if I'm a company, well, why would you think that a company would do that? Why would you think that they would do it? Yeah? Money is the honey, yes, yes. Of course, because of money, like, yeah, one would easily like be thrown into buying more. But not only money. This is also if I am at the head of society, or if I would like to control some person, I'm lusty. Having a lot of lusty desires make your willpower very, very weak, and so that makes you kind of like an easy target for me. And then you are much more easily manipulatable also, because you have so much pulling from this side and this side. Then I may get you, so may satisfy a little bit of your interest about something that you are attached to, and you are easily manipulated. So this is also like, it can be a possibility for manipulation also. Yeah. So I want to speak about the solutions of that. So how do we get the solution from this very sneaky and subtle kind of process that we have, like this mechanism that we naturally have just by having this body? Yeah. Does somebody have a thought on a solution for that? Yeah. Self-control, yes, that's very good. Yeah, yeah.
Getting into different association.
Yes, different association. Yes. Higher taste. Yes. Developing intelligence. Super. Yeah.
Bhagavad-gītā 3:43 says, seeing that one is not actually the mind, the body, or the senses, then spiritual strength, spiritual practice.
Yes. Yes. You said 3:43. Right. Yes. This, absolutely. Yes, these are all very, very nice and these very valid kind of solutions. Yeah.
Also developing like a very strong will, because going back up the slope is very difficult.
Yes.
And I watched a movie which was about alcoholism,
Mm.
and like there was a nice sentence which was, every day it gets a bit easier, but it's going to be hard every day, just a bit easier, but in the end it's hard.
Mm. Nice. Yeah. With strong willpower, then we will be much more able, to not be immediately going into indulgence. Yeah.
In the purport of Bhagavad-gītā 2:62,
Yeah.
or whatever quote
Yeah.
that verse was, Srila Prabhupada is saying that the whole chain starts if you want to contemplate things as separate from Krishna.
Mm.
So by seeing things in relation with Krishna,
Yeah.
there is a mystical change.
Nice. Yeah, this is a beautiful solution. Yeah. Much also would say in relation with spirit, developing spiritual intelligence. Yeah, it's very, very nice. I want to offer this solution also, in the sense that this very mechanism here, this also works for transcendence. So we can use the same mechanism to actually go in the better direction. Yeah. So how do we do it? Like instead of contemplating only, let's say, sinful kind of objects, we contemplate on the Supreme Personality of God, for example, on God, on Krishna, and Krishna being the benefactor of all living entities, being the well-wisher, and by trying to tune our intelligence with His own will, we can get to a much better result, and to actually be able to do what is best for everybody. Not in what is best for everybody, since He is the well-wisher of all living entity. That also includes us. Yeah. So how do we do that? Yeah. So as we said, we want to go to give more attention to Krishna. Yeah. But of course, when we we're not so much aware of this mechanism, and we all got different kind of exposure to different kind of lusty desires, yeah? So we do have them. And at the beginning, how it works is like, I was speaking with Bryan Prabhu about it, is like a browser. Like how our mind works is like some kind of, can be compared to a browser. So you could say I played for a lot of years basketball, yeah? And I still have from time to time, like while I do meditation, there comes to my images of situations of playing or something related to basketball. This is because like it's like when you search on the browser basketball.com and you search it for 1,000 times, as soon as you write the B, then basketball.com is already there. The autocomplete is very quick. And let's say that now finally, after 20 plus years and that I was into that, then I want to now actually go more into Bhagavad-gītā.com. That would be more my, hopefully. But what happens when, okay, I would like to go in that direction, but then I type B, what happened? Basketball.com, yeah, basketball.com comes out. So the mind actually goes, immediately wants to go back to basketball.com, because that's how the whole mechanism has been worked, and the impression is very, very strong. And so many emotions may be attached also to it. So so maybe it would take me I would have to write letter by letter until the autocomplete would leave me alone. Otherwise it would still be wanting me to go to basketball.com. And this is where we really need a lot of willpower, as Nikolai Prabhu is saying. But this also gives us a way how we we can be doing by endeavoring, by still trying to go on that direction. So we want to go from giving attention to worldly objects to attention to Krishna, yeah. But not only attention, what the goal of our practicing of Bhakti Yoga is actually absorption, yeah. We want to get absorbed and we want always to remember in Krishna, yeah. And remembering Krishna means that we are filled, our consciousness is filled with impressions of Krishna, yeah. But how do we get to, since we have so many pullings on the other side, how do we get from attention to absorption, yeah? So in this very moment we have let's say in our consciousness the world, which is that big, and Krishna, maybe sometimes we try but not so much with success. Sometimes we manage, sometimes not. But we want to go from here to where our consciousness is filled with Krishna, yeah, and then maybe the world, it's very little then on that. And this would brings us, of course, spiritual bliss, because Krishna is the source of all pleasure, but also materially that will give us very much of peacefulness also, because we would see reality as the world as it is, so temporary, and we would not put our focus so much into that, and so that would naturally give us also relief from the pangs of the material world. So how do we do so? So how do we go from this little attention that we may get now to absorption? Yeah.
Yes, the school of Vaidhi-sadhana bhakti.
School of Vaidhi-sadhana bhakti, yes. Sadhana, right. This sadhana is really trying through repetition, yeah, with this kind of process to go towards that, yeah?
I wanted
to say the same, right. So we do, Krishna says in the 6th chapter, yeah, Arjuna is telling Krishna, my mind is so restless, it's so obstinate, I cannot, it's more difficult than controlling the wind, he tells him. And then Krishna immediately answers, well, yes, you're right, it's undoubtedly it's very, very, very strong, but it is possible. And then he says by two processes. Who remembers which, yeah? Right, yeah. Detachment and practice. Vairagya and abhyasa, yeah. So detachment and suitable practice, yeah. And these are the way how we can do it. And so if we take detachment, yeah, and we need to, what does it mean in our case? We need to create some boundaries, yeah. If we, let's say we want to stop smoking, yeah. If we're still going on, like as Hendrik is saying, with the same kind of people who are smoking all the time, it's very difficult to stop smoking when everybody around you is smoking. Or we go into the same streets before there is a tobacco seller here, and there is the other ones on the corner who are also smoking. It's very difficult. So we have to put some boundaries in our own life, yeah, to be able to go towards another direction. And for example, in our philosophy, what are some boundaries that we have? Yeah, right. The 4 regulative principles. Yeah, which Srila Prabhupada, of course, he calls them 4 regulative principles of freedom. Yeah, and this here, it's very clear how this puts these boundaries. It actually gives us freedom, because this process, how we can see it, how entangling it is, how bind we are. The more we indulge into something, the more we don't have anymore the capacity to say no to things. Yeah, and this is so binding. But when we refrain to something, when we become more detached, when we put some boundaries, people think, no, I want to be free to do whatever I would like to, and that's freedom. But actually, when we put some boundaries in our lusty desires, this is actually when we are freed in our mind. This is how we can be free to actually choose and not be forced in some directions by our lusty desires. Yeah. So these are the boundaries that we have, and this is one way. This is the detachment way, and then we have suitable practice. Yeah. And suitable practice. What does it mean in our case? Yeah.
It means even though, like, if in every day there is many options to go back to like the cigarettes, for example, we have to every time make the choice not to smoke.
Yes.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
That's what I meant earlier. Like the first day it's gonna be like 20, 30 times that we quit for a cigarette. The next day it's maybe 29.
Mm-hmm.
After half a year, maybe it's 5.
Yeah.
So it gets easier, but
Strong willpower.
we have to make the same choice over and over again and practice to say no.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's very, very much important. Yes. Yeah.
Not only the negative action of
Yeah.
rejecting something, but also filling that hole and having a positive action.
Right. Yeah. Positive action. Yes. Like for example, was I think it was, but Shrestha Prabhu was saying about developing the higher taste. Oh, it was you. Yeah. Yes, like in 259, yeah, Krishna is saying, yes, you may stop smoking, for example, but the taste for smoking, like how it was nice when was smoking and I was having these nice chats with my friends and this and that, or this feeling that is horrible, but somehow after years I feeling that it's nice, is still there. This is because it's an impression in our mind, yeah. Even though I stop it, it's still there. So what we can do, what Krishna is suggesting there, is to develop a higher taste. It's like when you have some cheap pizza and you think it's nice, but then you come to Simachalam and you have Govindadev pizza, then that's a proper pizza. And easily you're like, okay, I don't go anymore to that restaurant because it was not even tastier. Yeah. So that's in a very easy way we can get rid of that. So developing higher taste, and this means in our understanding, because our goal is remembering Krishna, yeah, is to create a bond with Krishna. So try to connect with Krishna, and try to connect with Krishna. We can do it in 2 ways, most basically, yeah, which is through. I'll be very quick. Through intelligence, yeah. This is to connect, yeah, to form the bonds with Krishna, and through the mind, yeah. What does it mean through intelligence? Intelligence means to develop appreciation in the value of connecting with Krishna. Yeah, and when we manage to find this appreciation, then we are able to, through the intelligence, to go towards maybe hearing more about what is Krishna doing in the spiritual world, or maybe hearing more from other devotees, or one get enthusiastic by serving because he understands and he appreciates that I know that I'm eternally connected with Krishna, so I should be making some endeavors in that direction. So one can connect through intelligence, or one can connect to mind. Yeah, and mind means Hare Krishna. And mind means through attraction, basically. Yeah. So we have naturally, by our psychophysical nature and our past experience, some things that we are naturally more attracted to, and some other a little bit less attracted to. Yeah. So we could say, when we have food, we know that some certain food is very tasty for us. Yeah. But if we eat only what is tasty for us, we would get, I guess, ruined very quickly. Yeah. So that's why it's not only important what is tasty, but also what is healthy for us. Yeah. So we would have healthy food, tasty food, and what is the best? The best is when we can find the one in the middle. Basically, if we have, like here, we have the tasty one, and here we have the healthy one. The best is if we find this intersection between the two, yeah? So we manage to find something that is tasty and at the same time healthy, and this would be the best. And this is the same thing also with the mind. We may come with some certain tendencies, certain things that we like, but maybe there's a way to connect them also with Krishna. Maybe let's say we very love much music, yeah? Or playing some certain instruments. How can I that connect it with Krishna? Maybe I can play or create some devotional music for him. Or maybe I like to read much. I'm also especially interested in stories. Yeah, I get so much drawn into them, and maybe I can switch to read more about Krishna, like the amazing pastimes that he has in the spiritual world. I can read the Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is full of stories. So these are the two ways. One is through intelligence, and the other is through mind, that we can bond with Krishna. Yeah, and as Subal Gopal Prabhu, this is actually what Krishna is about to suggest to Arjuna. Yeah, because on the next verse that Bryan Prabhu is going to talk tomorrow is going to be about how lust is like try to satisfy our desires, sinful desires, is like throwing fuel into it. So it's actually not doing any good. It's actually doing worse. Yeah, and then 340 is talking about where the lust is unnedated. It's very subtle, and it's in your mind. It's in your intelligence. It's very much all pervading, and but then the 341. He's saying how at the very beginning, he said, Arjuna, curb this very great enemy by regulating your senses. And by regulating the senses, this means exactly this vairagya that we talked before. And then at 343, as Subal Gopal mentioned, Krishna is saying, by spiritual intelligence, you should be fighting against the enemy. And this is how we said, by these two process of bonding with Krishna. Yeah? Sorry, I guess I not have much time for questions, but of course you can approach me in private, and also if you have especially some comments and some correction and so, please do so. Thank you very much for listening. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Pralad Lakshmi Nrsimhadeva Bhagavan ki jai.
Ich probiere es mal. Habt ihr denn so einen Text? Ja.
Namo